Hey, Peter Franklin is the Gabby Cabby in New York City, and here he is. Good morning, Peter.
Good morning, good morning. Would you believe that the Daily News has a front page story that people should leave New York City, and I guess New York State, and I guess the United States, if they are unhappy with the fact that Trump might be elected president?
They're saying you should head to Canada or something, right?
Yeah, that means they'll then have 4 readers.
Yeah. And the New York Times is under a lot of heat over this issue with Donald Trump. That apparently a confidential conversation has been leaked out.
Yeah, I mean, they're ganging up on the guy. Let me just remind everybody. I mean, I've watched Donald Trump for the last 40 years. He's been very much a New York person. I'm not, particularly his fan or anything, but he never was a bad guy until he started running for president. Now all this stuff is coming out, and most New Yorkers are walking around scratching their heads because it doesn't gel with the guy who built the ice skating rink, who built the hospital in Queens, and has never really had any bad publicity with his unions. And in addition to that, even his former wives say he's a nice guy.
But don't you
you're really ganging up on the guy.
But don't you really think, though, it's the things that he has said that, or not said, I guess, in some cases, that has caused, and you're running for president, you're going to have a big magnifying glass on you, so
Yeah, but I mean, listen, I was speaking to Louis Farrakhan the other day, and he says he loves your show. So I said, Louis, what do you like about it? He says it's really terrific, and I and David Duke love to get together in the morning, and we listen on our car radios, tequila.
Well, that's very interesting because would you as a radio person, would you denounce them in the name of decency, or would you just kind of stay quiet and hope you get the credit for their listenership?
Yeah, I don't know. Right? That doesn't even make any difference. Yeah. I mean, if I was so lucky to have somebody say that they like listening to me, I don't know. I take it as a compliment. Well, thank you. I hope so. I don't know.
I like to think that I would denounce, but it is what it is, and that's kind of the story with Trump. How about this one? The federal judge that is being said to be limiting free speech as he bans videos of New York Police Department police activity in public places. This is getting a little activity.
It's absolutely outrageous that you're not allowed to do it. As a matter of fact, you really haven't been able to do it because cops get very upset. I myself have been arrested 3 times, I'm serious, for doing it. And by the way, when I say arrested, not taken off to jail and locked in chains, but I think when your pursuit of life, walking down the street or doing whatever you're doing, is stopped.
Yeah.
And you're required to answer questions to a cop. In a sense, you've been arrested. So excuse my literary license by bragging. I've been arrested 3 times. In one instance, the cop was eating a ice cream cone. And I thought it really kind of looked cute.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's a regulation against it, so I was trying to take a picture of it, and I was going to put it on the website. The guy went berserk, came over. I thought he was going to keep the camera. All he did is messed up that particular picture.
Yeah.
There was another time when I was at the 125th Street Amtrak station taking pictures of trains, because I love trains. Oh, do I love trains.
Yeah, I know you, yeah.
And I was detained by the railroad cops because I was taking pictures of the trains coming in and going out at 125th Street. And then the last time that I got slammed in the slammer, the big house, was when I was on the Brooklyn Bridge, and I was taking some pictures, and the cop showed me that there was a sign that said no taking pictures from the bridge, which, by the way, was put up in 1940 because of the U-boats that used to hang outside the harbor. So you see, you didn't realize you've been talking to a felon. Anyway, the judge is nuts. I mean, there's nothing wrong. If the cop doesn't like it, I mean, I don't know what unless he's doing something bad, I don't see what his problem is.
Yeah. Listen, I was in that situation crossing the border from Canada into the United States, ready at the checkpoint because we were videotaping coming through after 9/11. And we were detained for 8 hours in a very, very dingy concrete cell. And remind me, before I end with you, I want to give you my theory on the Donald Trump KKK thing. And I want to know your opinion. How about the bus driver suspended for calling a woman a stupid biatch? Is that what he called
it's on. I got a picture of it, and he gave it a finger.
Yeah.
Which is, our bus drivers are New York drivers, so they're crazy.
Yeah.
But they don't do something like that. And by the way, the average New York City bus driver can make about $97,000 a year. So I don't know if he's going to lose his job. That could turn out to be the most expensive finger he's given to anybody. But it's a reminder again to everybody that everybody seems to be walking around with a camera, and the lady just whipped out her camera when he did it, and there it is on my website, Gabby.com.
Are you good with the New York City Health Department banning smokeless tobacco in stadiums and public places, and like Yankee Stadium, Citi Field?
I think what they should have done is banned it spitting on the sidewalk. I mean, there's a lot of people that do that, but I guess if you're chewing tobacco and you swallow it, I don't see the harm to anybody except yourself.
Well, isn't it amazing how we have this world where we don't want anyone hurt? We're going to prevent anyone from getting hurt.
Yeah, well, that's a good idea.
We're going to protect you from yourself.
I hope so. As a matter of fact, I always mention your name. Anytime I get in trouble, I say, hey, I'm big on the Keeler Show.
And a transit cop patrolling Stillwell Avenue subway station already eyeballing a man after realizing he looked like a sketch of a robbery suspect.
Yeah, but they really weren't sure, and now that we don't have stop and frisk anymore, they're not even allowed to walk up to the guy and ask, what's in your knapsack or anything, unless you have really probable cause. So they let him walk away, thinking, gee, there's something bad about that guy, but we can't do anything about it. Well, a few minutes later, he spit on the sidewalk, and then they detained him and found out he was a wanted murderer.
Wow.
I don't have a particular problem with the stop and frisk. I'm no great fan of abusive cops, but at the same time, if we're hiring cops and they're good cops, they have a certain sense that something's wrong, and if they want to ask you a question, ask the question, and as long as they're polite, I don't see the big deal.
All right, here's my theory on Donald Trump and the KKK. You ready?
Yes.
This was all a setup, and that somebody in the establishment put this thing out there so that it would look like Donald Trump was affiliated, that this whole thing was manufactured as the last-ditch attempt to knock Trump off his high horse.
Of course. And let me just tell you something else, which I'm about to say that most of your listeners will not know. Are you aware of the fact that 2 of his kids are married to Jews?
Trump?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess I didn't.
How do you like them apples?
Yeah. Do you think that it's thought that he's a racist?
Not at all. He's never done. I told you, I've known the guy known him. I've seen him in action for 40 years. I've never, I don't know particularly whether he's going to be a good president or not, but he has not been a bad guy for 40 years that anybody in New York knows about. So, they're all consorting with him. And you're right about the New York Times. You bring a guy in for an interview, and then you say, now this part of the interview is going to be off the record.
And then it becomes leaked. And then what we're talking about is his immigration policy that it's negotiable. And
the only person qualified to be president of the United States, I always like to say, is me. I will run for office once I have a horse and a sword. That's what you need to campaign.
And I just want to say the thing about Trump being a racist. I don't think people really, really believe that. But I do think he's not a racist, but he'd be a narcissist, right? He's narcissistic. Don't you think? I mean, he's definitely...
Yeah, but that may contribute to his strength. Do you notice?
Yeah.
He doesn't seem to use a teleprompter.
Right.
When he does talk, he shifts, from one topic to another, and you get a sense that whatever he's saying, it's kind of real.
And find me a president who wasn't narcissistic, right? Somebody who's made it to a high level that isn't narcissistic. It's probably pretty hard to find. So,
That's right.
Peter Franklin, Gabby Cabby is the man. Best tour in New York City. Go to Gabby.com. Peter, thanks for coming on. We'll talk to you again next week.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Christine, quick update.
And Word of Life church beating case. One defendant had charges dismissed against her yesterday.
We have some school delays and cancellations, a few, especially to the west and the southwest, if you will. Manaski will have those. We have news, which is coming up next. Hold tight. It is a Wednesday morning at WIBX.